Just remember, you come off a short week against a really tough division foe. It cannot get as worse as it once was with number 5, Heath Schuler, under center. And back then he was nothing. Not the RG3 era, not the Donovan McNabb era. Nothing is worse than this. It can't get this bad. Even if Chicago comes in and sneaks victory, it's not going to happen. But how tight will it be? We'll find out. Welcome in. You can hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, all of that. We appreciate you big time. We're on our way to 100K, and we want you to be a part of it. It's easy. This was an unmitigated disaster. Just so far removed now with Sam Howell, right? So far removed. And it's a good thing. It's a good feeling if you're down there in Washington watching both coordinator and quarterback mesh. It's not the same in Chicago. Chicago's a disaster. Chicago is worse than this. And the quarterback's not worse than this. The situation. Chicago's situation is worse than Heath Schuler was a quarterback. That should put into light how bad things are in Chicago. Let us begin. I'm going to hit you. You want a same game parlay? Go check the same game parlay video. All right? I'd love for you to go do that. Thank you. Today is about my top 3 plays for tonight and touchdowns. You want touchdowns? I'm going to have touchdowns for you. Before we look at everything here, number 1, I'm going to go with the spread. So I'm going to take Chicago. But I just want you to see this because these things change, and they just changed. 21 or older, gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Put $5 down, get $150 in bonus bets, or first bet safely net up to $1,000 in bonus bets, meaning you put whatever you want from 10 to 1,000 down, and you'll get it back in 1,000 up to whatever you put down in bonus bets. All right, simple stuff. Let's look at number 1. It's the spread. It's the spread. There is... Look, I'm just going to tell you this from the other side of it. Everybody on that field for the Washington Commanders Philadelphia Eagles game got up for that football game. Every single soul. And that's not just a typical, oh, yeah, we get a... Washington is an irritant when they're good, meaning that they can hang around. They're far more important than any third-party candidate that emerges from the same area. In fact, what they can do is put pressure, unnecessary pressure on that second team to win the division. And you don't want to be that second team looking down like, damn, how do we split or how do we get swept by Washington? And I don't mean it as a negative. I mean it as like they're good enough to come in. They're better coached this year on both sides of the ball. Defensive guy can actually focus on the defensive guys, the head coach. And you know what? Eric Bieniemy, turns out he knows what he's doing. Amazing, right? Sam Howell's there. I get it. But they come off a division battle. 3-7 ATS off a game against the Philadelphia Eagles for a reason. This is everything. It took everything. They were close. They thought they could win that thing. They had a chance. But you know what? Jake Elliott, player of the month, player of the year, player of the league. The guy's the Tom Brady of kickers right now. Mark it down. Yeah, we'll start number 1. I'll take it. 6.5. I found it for you. 6.5. It's over at BetMGM. Guess what? I got links for BetMGM there too. Go ahead. I got links galore. I got links for days. Sign me up. Everywhere else, thanks to OddShopper, it's at 6. I found it for you there at 6.5. And I have a link for you to sign up at BetMGM like I do at Bet365 and basically a bunch of other places too. DJ Moore, 80+ alt receiving yards. Sign me up. Big one here. I think I look at this as a whole, and there's so much that I need to really look at from a target standpoint, volume standpoint, more than anything else. The biggest thing that I have is, well, who else can benefit from this? And we're going to talk about that. Because at some point there will be a change, right? In strategy, what have you. But ultimately, this is really about DJ Moore, Justin Fields, taking advantage of connection that was continued this past weekend, despite a loss. I'm not worried about a loss for a player prop. I'm worried about, all right, they're going to pepper this kid until somebody on Washington slows it down. So right away, I'll go with an alt play. I think we can get to 80 more so than anything else. And or that would be my limit for an alt play. And shop it. My God, shop it. You can definitely do that. You don't have to just play the same thing over and over again. That's all. But for me, Justin Fields doesn't have to, nor will he run in tighter games. That's coming in two blowouts that we see where he's chasing scores and needing to extend. This is what Daniel Jones has done. So no reason for me to do either. And look at, I think for the most part, how a guy like Justin Fields, how we can take advantage of a good player prop. He's not running so far in games in which they're close. And we're taking them to cover a 6.5-point spread, even if it's a backdoor. Like, you need like multiple scores towards the end of that. We'll come back to this before we wrap, but Justin Fields staying under his rushing prop. I can pretty much assure you that. We're not changing anything. We're just expanding. So the same game parlay has its own home, which I absolutely love. I'm just going to give you the top 3 plays and touchdowns. You want touchdowns? Let's go touchdowns. Justin Fields, first touchdown. That's it. Now, I've got more touchdowns, but that's the only guy I'm playing tonight for first touchdown. A little tenth of a unit down on there. Justin Fields is in full control mode. Justin Fields is going to tuck on the goal line. Justin Fields is going to sprint. I know we went under his rushing prop, but I'm not looking for him to break something open for 35 yards into the end zone, nor just getting stopped short of the end zone. I'm looking at him in controlled bursts, and I'm looking at him as you get closer to the red zone, especially as you get to the goal line. Okay? Now we're on to something. Deep throw downfield to maybe DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, somebody along those lines. Start to see, okay, you need a score. Doesn't need to be a tush push. The Windy City shitty committee. That's not bad. It's a play on Pharoah Monch, of course, what he wrote on Simon Says, but the Windy City shitty committee would be the Chicago Bears equivalent of the Philadelphia Eagles brotherly shove. Does that make sense? I think so. I think we can use that. So that's another way in which Justin Fields gets us a touchdown. He's just going to do it first. Can you imagine? That's the first touchdown. The Windy City Shitty Committee is the first touchdown, the first way in which Justin Fields gets into the end zone. Cash that ticket. I can see it happening already. Big Terry's in the house. We cannot ignore this. McLaurin roasted the Eagles. He will roast again. This is feast mode right now. Sam Howell, just pepper, salt, pepper, season your steak, sir. Okay. Darnell Mooney is going to benefit from, at some point, the Washington Commanders realizing that they need to focus a little bit more on McLaurin to slow him down. No, on DJ Moore, pardon me. I'm looking at McLaurin to slow him down because Moore is going to explode. And at that point, you're really going to have to slide. If it's safety high, you're going to have to, somebody underneath, you're going to have to do that. And Mooney's going to get chances. You watch at plus 380. Mooney will get a chance, at least one. I think he'll get a couple chances, especially as you get things a little tighter. And look, we could not do anything without keeping, of course, the Lindy's least approved play of the day. And he does not. You know how hard it is to get him out of the bed, let alone to get him to bet a 2+ touchdown prop? Do you know his head would explode if he ever thought it would be like the meltdown you saw in Total Recall to reach. Justin Fields, 3+ touchdowns. Let's mark it. And you know what? I'll take it. Because that number right there gives me confidence. It's not accurate. It's early. People haven't recognized that one yet. That's why it's here for you. Okay? Let's run it back. Touchdowns. Justin Fields, first touchdown. McLaurin, Mooney, anytimes. Lindy's least approved play of the day. Justin Fields, 3+ touchdowns. Shander's top 3, the big board. Bears plus 6.5. DJ Moore, 80+ receiving yards. And Justin Fields, under 46.5 rushing yards. Appreciate you all as always. Hit that thumbs up button. Look, let me know throughout, okay? You let me know biggest fade. That's what I want from you. Now that we're at the end of here, go back, rewatch it if you want. And you let me know the big of all the plays that I gave you, the biggest fade. Because you know what? If you all come to a general consensus, chances are that you might win big by just generally fading me. So let's do that. We'll keep that going here on Eytan's Essentials. Hit it.